All right, there we go. Well, welcome everyone. Again, I'm Alice Scott, and please stop me at any time with questions. I want this to be informal, even though we are recording it for your colleagues who could not join us at this time today. Trying to schedule, 15 or so people all at the same time is quite difficult. But I do want this to be interactive so that you all can get your questions answered and really start using the system as quickly as possible. So if that sounds good to everybody, I will go ahead and get started with the agenda here. Let's see if my computer will comply. There we go. All right. So brief agenda here. I don't anticipate this webinar lasting more than 45 minutes. Again, if we have a lot of questions, I left that time. We scheduled for an hour in case we did have a lot of questions, but it should be, it's not going to be death by PowerPoint, not a lot of slides, just a few background, a little bit of background information, overview information for those of you who were not able to participate in Catherine's training back in September. Want to make sure everybody is kind of caught up and up to speed with what Headed To is all about and the platform. And then we will get into the meat of the user management system. All right, so again, just a little bit about Headed To. The purpose that Headed To, that the team that we have here at Headed To works with every day is really to create a single career awareness continuum that meets the need of both the individual and the community. And it's really all about being very interconnected, but also using technology in a way that really evolves that career awareness process. And with that, we have what you all are excited to start using is that Headed To career engagement platform. And so it really is about linking information in a meaningful way for participants to be able to explore and set goals and develop that life plan to achieve those goals. And it's constantly an evolving process because obviously the information that's being fed into the platform is constantly evolving, as are people's goals. We know people's goals will change as life events happen, or interests change, or their level of talent or education changes. Goals will continue to change. So this platform is very much geared toward that lifelong learning and planning. So with that, and again, I'm just going to kind of roll through these. When we talk about really linking information in a way that's both dynamic but also simple, this slide does not look simple in any way, shape, or form, but you all will recognize a lot of this alphabet soup that you see here. And it really is, the platform is able to bring together multiple data sets, such as the ones that you see in front of you here, into one career engagement platform that can be simply used by students, teachers, adults, program participants, program administrators. If one was to go out and try to gather all of this information on their own and then sift and sort through it, it would really be a nightmare and would most likely never get done. So that is really, when we talk about simplifying that career exploration, it is, that is a very main example, a great example of that. Another part of the solution that is this career awareness platform is maximizing career awareness through really that increased interest in specific occupations, that industries, that communities are trying to focus on. So especially with economic development, workforce development, and targeted community interests, you will really find, and I know you all are doing this as well, but there is a way to really prioritize occupations through the system that have been identified as targeted industries for a specific area. And then finally, that evolution of the career engagement. So that's where we really started, kind of getting back to where we started on this call, is creating that single career awareness continuum that meets the needs of the individual, the community employers, the community leaders, and where all those efforts are really interconnected through this platform. So finally, getting down to who you serve. So your program participants are working on developing both those life skills, those soft skills, to become employable or increase their employability and self-sufficiency, and also contribute back to the communities that you all work in. So helping them really identify, number one, people are probably participating in your programs at different levels of understanding of themselves. Who am I? Who are they? And there are a variety of tools within the system that really provide for that self-exploration, including many of the different assessments, inventories, and also even the ability to do journaling within the system. So as they're thinking through some of the results of these assessments, what does that mean to them at that point in time? And then when they come back in the system, what would that same result mean to them at a different point in time after they've had different life experiences? And so you'll see, and I'll demonstrate all of this, not just on PowerPoint, in your system very soon. It also allows people to get into that career information and exploration. So what, in theory, I've heard of that career, but what does it really mean? What are the courses or training and certifications that I need to get there? What are the opportunities provided for someone who's working in that career, and so on. So really creating that opportunity to explore. So then that decision point, and I know a lot of you all assist in that decision point or in that planning to get to that goal that they've decided upon. So you have a variety of different school training or certification opportunities that are in the system that they can decide, do I need to go back to school for something? Do I need to pursue an industry certification? Or is it more, I need to improve my resume. I need additional work experience. I need to go do an internship in that field to see if it's something that I really do want to pursue. And then, okay, why it's not going to my next, there we go. And then really, how do you get there? So that's the point on your system where you're really talking about that growth. And that's where we'll get into planning, goal setting, and action steps in another training. So that will really be not touched on as much today, but that is ultimately how you all will work together with your program participants in their planning and their action steps to get to where they want to go. So with that being said, I'm going to jump out onto your site. Are there any questions thus far in what we've talked about? That was really more just a quick overview to make sure, in case you were not able to hear Catherine or meet Catherine and speak to her and participate in some of her trainings back in September, to just kind of lay the groundwork for the rest of the session. So anything right now? All right. Well, as you can see here, I am in your GNO system here, headed to platform. And so in this system, I have logged on over here in the top right corner. I'll go ahead and log out just to make sure you all see what I'm doing here. Right now, this is the public-facing site that a student, anyone, a program participant, anyone who finds your website will see. Hopefully all of them will sign in, although that may be something that you need to request of your program participants. And they'll go here and sign in, and anyone can create an account here. And they can give various pieces of information that will help to identify them. Just so that you all are aware as you're working with people, some people will feel more comfortable filling in the information than others. Hopefully they'll fill in as much information as possible to make sure that you can identify the participants once they're in your system. But critical to them being able to re-enter the system if they ever forget into the same account, if they ever were to forget their password, is for them to put in an email address. So that is something, it is not required. As you can see here, it is an optional field. However, if they do leave that blank and they ever forget their password, they will not have a way for them to access it to reset that password. Potentially, if you all are working with someone, you could send a message to the administrator of the site and request a new password to be submitted, but it could take, some time. So it wouldn't be available right, say you have an appointment with them and they get there and they have forgotten their password, it wouldn't be an immediate fix as it would be if they have an email address associated with the account. So that's just a little tidbit as you're encouraging your participants to create an account. For this purpose, I do have a demo account here that I'm going to sign into. And once, if a program participant signs in and creates an account and signs in, they will not have this fourth tab that you are seeing here, which is the Manage tab. That is a tab that just you all as program administrators will have for your user management capability. So that is why I'm signed into this demo account as someone who does have the user management capabilities. So once you go into the system, again, you'll kind of hover over this Manage tab, and you can drop down into User Reporting and Management, or Batch Account Creation. I'm actually going to start at Batch Account Creation because we were just talking about if your program participants are being encouraged to create accounts for themselves, that you kind of need to, you're at their mercy as to what they decide to include when they create those accounts that will be identifying information. However, if you create the account for them with this batch account creation tool that we'll click into now, you can upload a file, either a CSV or an Excel file, that has the various pieces of information that are a part of the account creation standpoint. So we actually have a spreadsheet that we could share with you, and you could fill it in. You could assign usernames, if you have a way that you want to assign them, or they can be automatically assigned by the system. But you can have their first name, last name, if they are attending a school currently or not, you don't have to include a school, their email address, if you have that, their phone number, if they have that, so that sort of thing. And then you can upload that file, and you can actually create a grouping that would then be made in advance, and a notice would get sent to the email address associated with each account to complete the setup. And that's when they could pick their password and go ahead and complete their account creation. Right here toward the top here, there's a batch account creation guide that you can also click on if you were to forget any of the information that we just talked about, or just wanted a refresher or wanted to show someone else how to do it. And basically, once you were to upload an Excel spreadsheet, it would, again, these are your items, username, password, but it can automatically auto-generate a username. If you look up here, once you pull that spreadsheet in, you could click auto, you could skip username or password on your spreadsheet. You could just put first name, last name, zip code, email address, and any other grouping. If you wanted to have a grouping by program or by administrator or account, account manager, or however you term each of your different groupings, you could also include that as a section item on the spreadsheet as a column. And you could, again, like I said, just auto-resolve username and auto-generate passwords. So what this will do on this auto-resolve username conflict, if for any reason you put in a username that someone in the system, in your system, already has, I'm Alice Scott, maybe I want to have my username be Alice Scott, but there are already 5 Alice Scott, there's Alice Scott 1, 2, and 3, it would automatically just add another number. So it would change it automatically to say Alice Scott 4 if there were already 3 or 4 of us in the system. And here, like I said, it would email users the confirmation by clicking this. So one of the things we're also talking about here today is user management. So again, if you are uploading these people, these groupings You can do that for more than one manager. So if you had a program that has 4 or 5 of you all who are going to manage accounts, you may want to manage the first grouping of, spreadsheet grouping that you upload, but maybe someone else is going to manage the others. You're just helping them by getting everybody started in the system. So again, whoever's on that spreadsheet, if you're not going to be managing them as their main contact, then do not check this button. But if you are, if it's one of your program groups, then you could click this button and they would automatically get assigned to your username, your account that you're uploading these into, that you're importing them from. Because you do have to be signed in to import into the system. So that is a little bit about batch account creation. So there's really 2 ways for participants to get those accounts. Either they self-create an account, or you do this batch account creation process. Are there some questions on that? Okay, great. And like I said, you do have this cheat sheet, so when you click under Manage Account, go to Batch Account Creation, you can either just grab that file and get started, and once you upload it, it'll ask you those different questions of how you'd like to create those accounts, or go back to that Batch Account Creation guide and, excuse me, and there's your cheat sheet on what the different aspects will be that you can select.
Actually,
right.
Alice, I do have a question.
Yeah,
I'm wondering, is it easier if you don't know the people before you get to, say you're doing like a headed to workshop and you don't know the people that will be in your group? In that case, is it going to be easier to have each of them create their own account rather than to do the batch account, since I wouldn't be able to pre-enter them in that like Excel document?
I would think so. So I think you can kind of, do it a couple different ways. If you know, say you have a group and they are, like you said, if they're already identified and you know the information, having those accounts ready for them before they even get in there, it'll just, get you into the training or into the demo of the system faster. But it really isn't a lot. But it really isn't, if you don't have the information, spending time trying to get the information may, cost you way more of your, valuable time than just having them go ahead and do it at the first 5 minutes or less of the session. Because I logged in to show you again, when you click sign in, that create account, there really aren't that many, blanks for them to fill in. I would just, again, you're just kind of hoping that they're going to do what you're asking them to do, which is to really fill it out as completely as possible, especially, like I said, that email address. And if you have a graduation year, or if you don't, if they don't have one, obviously these are all optional that don't have the stars next to them. But really having especially that first or last name and email address would be the 3 if they do anything past those required that I would really just, encourage them to do. Number one, because some people, you never know what they're going to pick as a username. You could have somebody who's, again, named Alice Scott, but I pick a username of, Pink Pig 2 or something. I mean, how are you ever going to find me later if you need to assign me to a manager if I don't put my first and last name? So, again, and you could ask them to do a specific type of username, but if it's going to be left up to them, you just never know what that is. So if you don't have that last name and first name associated, you just may never be able to go back and find them very easily once you are in the system trying to really work with their account.
Okay.
So, So either way, if you have the information at hand, it could be easy to do the batch enrollment, and then you kind of don't have to start the session with it. But if you don't, I wouldn't spend, a couple days trying to track people down. So, all right. Well, I will sign back. Oh, yeah, definitely. No problem. That's what I want. Y'all don't want to just hear me talk for 45 minutes. But so definitely, if anybody else has questions, jump in. So that was really just about getting the users into the system because you have nobody to work with if they don't have accounts. Once that is going on, hopefully then they're going to get in there, they're going to start working, they're going to start doing some of the different assessments that you see here under Explore. They're going to start exploring some of those specific careers that you're targeting or just any of the occupations, but especially I know you all want, some specific careers targeted. And, again, once they get in there and start targeting some of or viewing some of these careers, they can really, and I'm just picking one here, I'll go with the first one, agricultural equipment operators. Once they have their account and they're logged in, they can start bookmarking certain careers that start to appeal to them as they're watching videos and reading about them. Once they do their assessments, they'll be able to start seeing their compatibility ratings with some of these different based on their assessment results. And they'll be able to journal like we were talking about. They can share. They want to let somebody else know. One of the people that that they really appreciate their opinions, maybe in their family or what have you. They could share a career, email it to them, and say, "What do you think?" So there's a lot that they can start doing, but then you'll be able to start seeing the activity that they're doing. So that's where we're going to go back under the Manage, under User Reporting and Management. So, and again, this, is a demo, so we don't have a lot of people in here. And if you notice, my name in this demo is Bob Barker, so I really appreciate the humor of my team at Headed To. But anyway, so here you can really start to see, what's being accomplished by some of these different users that are in the system. Some of them haven't been doing very much, so we should go get on these participants right here. Others have done 2 of the 3 assessments. They've completed their budget. They've already completed a resume, or they're working on the resume. The yellow is they started, but they haven't completed the assignment all the way. They've got some different bookmarks. You can see that they're doing some different activities in the system. And you'll really be able to see, the usage of the users that you manage. Now, here's where we get into that a little bit. Under this little gear drop down, there we go. Okay, so there are a couple of different ways that you all can identify which groups or which participants you're going to manage. So again, we talked about in that batch account creation, you can select manage these users, and then they will automatically be added into your management system capability. Also, you can create grouping names here in order to create new groups to add people into. So for this demo account, it was made more from a school counselor perspective. And so there's period 1, period 2, 3, 4, et cetera, or class A, whatever it is. You all can name your groups whatever, makes sense for your different programs and how you all work with your participants. And that would be done here in your group naming. So let's say GNO 1. I don't know why, but we will. Create grouping. All right. So now we have right here that GNO 1 group. Well, in this group, we don't have any users quite yet. So we are going to manage users in grouping. So we can do a couple of things. Excuse me. Oh, I had a little delay in getting there. But as you can see, there are no users in this grouping right now. So you can add users by a couple different ways. You can request a user. So if you, again, know that, know some of the usernames or the user names associated with the accounts that you need. So if you allow the students to do their own usernames, you would most likely, or the participants, you would need to know what those are to request a user. You could click this link. You would put the username in here. So again, let's see, I think we had Demo A or something, I don't know. And you would send a message looking forward to working with you or something like that, whatever message you want to do. And you could hit send. And it would send that message to, well, I didn't pick a good username. But anyway, if the username's in the system, it would send a message to them that says, your name, so in this case, Bob Barker has requested to manage you in their group. Do you accept? And they would get, that message, and they would accept and be a part of your group. So again, that's sort of that where you have to rely on them to accept, follow through and accept that. There's another way through here, manage users and groupings, that you can go in and find the names of the different people and assign them to, say I want to put them all in this group, and then save the changes. So now, again, you need to know the username that you're looking for, but you need to know that for requesting as well. So now when I go to that group, it's got those 5 of the 7 students that I assigned to this account for me to look at. So if you do have people who move around within your program, maybe you need to change from one manager to another, you can do that as well through, again, this drop-down, the manage users and groupings, and you can, move people around to that person, that counselor, and you can have people in more than one group, obviously, as you can see here. So if you have somebody who maybe works with a couple of different people, and instead of you all having to share, hey, what did they do, have you looked in that, you could just all have access to their user information. More than one, can have that information. So then there's actually a really cool way, I think it's a really cool way to do this, to get people to add themselves or, more quickly find you as their manager in the system. And that is to go here where, again, I was back to that drop-down under Management Preferences. If you click that, you get to this screen. And what it has assigned is for each account. So I'm logged in as demo teacher. That's my username right now. So it has assigned this URL. And you can email that out to your group that maybe you have their email addresses, but you don't know their usernames because they created them themselves. You can email them that link and say, please click on this link and request me to be your manager in the Headed To system. And they click on that link, and again, you can make it auto-accept as well. So whoever clicks on that link will automatically be added, or you can have it where you have to accept them. So that's up to you. If you think that link might wind up with more than just your group, then you might want to still not click auto-accept for you to make sure it is the person, or the username that you need. But this is a way to very quickly send them a link that will direct them right into your user management account, into the correct account. So, and in this case, if you want to put, Bob Barker is the first and last name I put into the account, or when the account was created for me, the name that was used. But if if they know you better as Mrs. Scott from, from employee or whatever it is, you could put whatever name there that you want to have displayed in the message that's going to be sent, or, that when they click on it, what they'll see, that's the person who's asking them to click on that link, if that makes sense. And you can add more details here in the memo as well, a message for them to explain it. So if you change any of these items, you would just update preferences, and then whenever you send this link out and they click on it, they will see, Mrs. Scott from employee asked, to be your manager, and then Mrs. Scott could put a note in here of why, or can't wait to see you on the 14th for our workshop. Please click on this before then so you're ready to go, or something like that. So that is a very quick way to get the right people into your user management account. Going back to one. Oh, go ahead. Yeah, please.
So if someone was participating in 2 different programs, so their advisors or teachers or counselors or whoever would not be under the same management system, would they still be able to have 2 different people accessing their information?
Yes. Yep. So you would just want each of those people to send that link or somehow request them to be in their system. So each person would just need to get that username or user into their system, whether you use the link or you use the, if you know their username, where you can request a user by typing in the name. However you do it, you would just each need to do that. But yes, they can be in more than one account management system.
All right, thank you.
Yep, you're welcome. Let's see. So going back to once you have, so those are a couple of different ways to get the right people onto your account so that you can see what they're doing. Once you have that, sorry, my internet seems to be lagging a little bit. Let's see if we can get there. You will then be able, like we said, to already see, okay, username, how are they doing? You've got your nice little color-coded block and that sort of thing. However, let's see if I can go another way. Let's get back to the beginning. There we go. However, so once you have, you may have, I don't know how many people each of you work with, but you may have quite a big group. You can always, find people over here under Manage Users. You can type in a name. Again, if you know somebody's, username, you can also search. So if you have a lot, say you have 100 participants or however many it would be, at the top here you can type in their username or even their name. So Alice Demo A to find the person that you're looking for. And let's see. Okay, well, I didn't like that, but you really can search, I promise. I don't have enough people here. So you can go directly to, if you're looking for Alice Demo A, and you can see that person's report, or you can see reports by your whole group. So if you want to see as a group how people are doing in the system, or if you want to target onto one person and see exactly, more detail of what they're doing and their information, maybe you need to email Alice Demo A, and so you want to get in here to get their information. And again, of course, when you have a webinar, the internet will go slow. But that is one way to get into user-specific information. But then here at this drop-down is where you will get into those bigger group reports. So if you want to see if there's a trend, maybe the group you're working with all have taken, the interest profiler, and you want to see if there's a trend. Is there a high number of participants in your group who happen to all be interested in manufacturing, for example? That may be a great opportunity for you to set up a guest speaker, because you know that you have a lot of students or participants in your group who are all interested in that same career pathway or that same topic. So there's or engineering or whatever it is, and it may help you in your programming or in some of your ways that you look to target, activities or different things that would excite your group of participants. So that's one example. Let's see. So here's an example. Let's get one on Skills Profiler. Oh, people haven't done the Skills Profile. Work Importance Profiler. Okay, so some of the different group values. And then you can see also what are some of that they've viewed occupations. They've viewed some, some of the summary information about some of these different areas. So here are some areas where they really value in their work important surveys. You can see one of the highest areas was relationships. So then is it talking about how to work as a team? Is it having, a life skills class on how to interact appropriately at work to develop those relationships? Because you see how important that is to your group of participants. So that's why another way that having the participants take these different assessments can help you also target some of your programming or some of your activities. Let's see. You can also see career cluster exploration. So this is where I was getting more into what are some of the top interests that are being explored by some of the students. And again, this is a demo, so we didn't, have time to fill out as many of these different assessments for everyone, but we wanted to give you an idea of some of the areas where then you could spend some more time helping the participants explore. some of these, top areas of interest for them. So again, here are the different and occupations viewed reports. So again, solar energy installation managers. If that's being viewed many times and has been viewed the most here, is there a solar farm somewhere that you could take people to see, or whatever it makes sense for you, or a program, a certification and training program that would lead towards some of these career opportunities, where you could bring someone in to talk about that training program and hopefully get some of the students to sign up for those programs or pursue those programs. So that is a lot about the reporting, managing users, getting them into your areas, to manage. Let's see, I'm trying to think. In this case, I believe we've hit almost everything that I intended to cover on this particular session. But I do want to show you, I showed you the cheat sheet for the batch account creation. Oftentimes at the bottom of a page or at the top of a page where you all have administrative rights to, you will also find a guide. So down here at the bottom, there's our user management guide here that will give a little introduction, and then on this next button, keep clicking, or you can do the drop down here. And if there's something that you either forgot, you haven't used it in a while, you want more detail on reporting, requesting a user, I know we spent some time on that. You can also, like I said, do the drop down or just kind of walk through this tutorial as well. One thing that we didn't talk about, when you do request some of the users to allow you to manage them, if you don't have it automatically accepting on that link, if they click that link, when you log in at the top here, you will see a number of requests pending. If you do have any, this one doesn't. It's obviously the example, but you would click on that hyperlinked number and it would take you to all of the requests. And you would literally have a green button that says accept or a red button that says reject. So maybe somebody accidentally got the wrong link. You might want to reject them and let your colleague know that their participant almost signed into your account. Again, it's not the biggest deal in the world. We showed where we could move people around to different groups if we need to, if they get in the wrong one. But you can accept or reject any of those requests that come through, and it'll be one of the first things you see at the top here when you log in and go into your Manage Users tab. All right, so that's something we didn't hit on. Again, just kind of scrolling through, here's where we talked about, again, if you need to go back and follow up on any of these of how to request users, or right here, or how to have users request you. That's where we have those links that we were talking about, that you can send them to just click on the link. Let's see. And if they request you, again, you're going to say yes or no right here, the green button versus the red to confirm. So then we talked about customized groupings. So again, this is just a review of that and how you can create a group name to add a new person, a new program, however you all will be grouping everyone. And then you can click people on in this group, on in another one, or off in one if you need to, and save the changes. We will talk more about plans and assignable plans and the planning tool on a future webinar, but this does just talk a little bit about assigning plans within your group if you want to get ahead, but we will talk about that in 2 weeks on one of our next webinars. And then the group reporting that we talked about, as well as user reports. So there's that drop down for reports, whether you're in a specific user's account or if you're in all of your main account, your main dashboard, and you're looking at reporting about your group as a whole. Let's see. And then finally, so user maintenance. So again, we talked a little bit about if you need to remove someone from a group, if you need to send them a message, you can do so when you click on their username at the top. It didn't open for us because we were having an internet problem, but you can edit their information with this orange pencil here. You can delete them if someone leaves your program and you all decide you want to delete them. That's up to you all. They can stay in the system as well, and you can just remove them from the group instead of deleting them completely. Or you can email them a message if you want to just email one of your users a message, or you can email them as a group. So there are different ways to go about that. And let me make sure that I showed you all that. So if you get into your group here, they will say GNO here. Anyone in this group, you can send a group email with this icon up here by clicking on that, and it would go to the entire group. Again, if you just want to message this student, demo.student1, then this, you would click on them, and then once you're in their account only, you would be able to either edit some of their information like we talked about. Maybe their email changed and they asked you to update their email, or maybe they did go back to school for something. You could put a school in there. So that's the edit key and update the information, or you could send them an email directly. So you can also use it for communication. So that brings us right to 3:45, which was my goal. And again, I want to allow time for any additional questions. Does anyone else have anything on this particular topic of user management and batch account creation? Awesome. Well, I hope I did my job then. Of course, we're always here, so if any, technicalities, any technical stuff seems to not be working as we described it today, then definitely let us know through the administrative contact that you have. And like I said, feel free to fall back on those cheat sheets, those user guides, user management guides, batch creation guides. That's why we put them there. But hopefully everything will go nice and smoothly.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, everybody. I look forward to talking to you again on the 16th. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you.
You too. Thanks.
Thanks.